Hello and welcome to another build guide. Still in Heist League. So this is gonna be one of my last videos because I'm gonna probably stop playing soon. I have one or maybe two build guides coming in the next week, and that will be probably it, unless I came up with another idea. So what is this build? Main skill is Cobra Lash, as you already saw in the video. So normally Cobra Lash is something that most people, like maybe 95% of the population who plays this skill, play this as poison, because that's how it was designed, I believe, originally, because you can see that it has 50% physical damage convert to chaos and also poison chance on hit, and also crits have 50% damage over time multiplier, blah blah blah, never mind. But I was like, so here's how the idea came up. I wanted to play with a dagger, some kind of attack build, and then my friend said that go and play Cobra Lash, LMAO, something like that, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And then it turned out it's a very good build, and I am very amazed. I didn't expect something like this. So the idea was a meme, but a meme came true, you know, a dream came true, something like that. So let's talk about why this build deals so much damage. So yes, and this is not a low budget but not a high budget build. I spent maybe like at most 30 exile, probably 20 or 30, I'm not sure. We are gonna go over the gear obviously. So let's talk about why this build can deal so much damage. So how this build works, let's explain that very fast. So unlike normal Cobra Lash, Divergent gives projectiles deal 15% increased damage for each remaining chain. So Cobra Lash is something that chains 5 times normally, and with Helm enchant it makes 8. And finally from Deadeye Ascendancy +1. So that makes 9 chain total. So you will get 9 9 times 15. Just yeah. My English isn't enough for that calculation, sorry. Yeah, that's it. And also we are using these medium jewels, again 15%, same here. So that makes 45% each remaining chain total, and you want to multiply it with 9. And because we are playing at Deadeye, we also have Ricochet. Projectiles deal 10% more damage, so this is way better because it's a more damage multiplier. So here we have 90% more damage. That's obviously for only the first hit, which is bosses, obviously, for boss fights, because if there are no ads or anything like that, so if the boss is the first target that you hit, you will get that 90% more damage plus all those 45 blah blah blah. You got the idea, that much increased damage also. So this is how this build deals a lot of DPS. So playing at Deadeye is a must. I'm not sure if you can play with any other ascendancy, because you won't probably get this much DPS. Yeah. So the gems we are using on our Cobra Lash link, Anomalous Nightblade. So Anomalous gives effect of elusive, so it is for only survival ability. You can use any other kind of Nightblade support. They have actually better DPS values, because this is for only dodge chance, because elusive gives us dodge. So I'm gonna explain Nightblade after I finish these gem links, because it has some explanation to do. Added lightning damage. I actually bought this today, the 6 level corrupted one. I was playing with a 5, and all the videos were recorded with a 5 level, so it obviously is better, but it doesn't have that much difference actually. So yes, you can just go with 5, it is very cheap compared to this, obviously. Awakened Lightning Pen, so just a no-brainer, because it's a lightning build, you want penetration, that's it. These I also use elemental with these attacks, again awakened. These all 3 only level 1, level 2, maybe level 5 if you have the money. They are actually probably one of the cheapest not cluster, what are these? Gems, yeah. Because you know that there are lots of expensive awakened gems on the market. Cast on create X Touch, I believe, one of those. So there are lots of expensive stuff, but these are only like a couple exiles. The level 5 versions, yeah. They are not that expensive at all. So you can just buy a level 5. Do not bother leveling these gems if you want, if you have the little extra currency. And finally, hypothermia. We are using skitter bots. So one of them chills all the time. That's why I'm playing with a hypothermia, because this gives more DPS compared to something that I want to mention. You can actually use inspiration support instead of this, because inspiration also reduces the mana cost of the skill, because we have a very high mana cost, not mana cost, attack speed. If you miss a couple of shots for some reason, you will get run out of mana easily. So that's why inspiration can help you. If you want, you will only lose a little DPS, because hypothermia is way better. But yeah, you can play with an inspiration and that will be fine. So let's talk about Nightblade, because this needs some explanation to do. Elusive is a buff that gives you dodge and movement speed, but gem also gives crit chance, +1 crit chance. That's a base crit, so that is not actually 1%, it's more than 1%, because that will be get multiplied by my increased critical strike chance on everywhere on the gear tree. And finally, 99% crit multiplier. So the thing is, elusive is a buff that fades over time. You can see in the clips that my elusive, it is on the top, it has a green picture. It gets lowered, reduces its effect, and finally hits 0%. And then when I crit again, because I have Nightblade support, I will get a new one. So if it gets faded over time, it normally elusive has dodge and movement speed, so those values will be get lowered and eventually hit 0. But also these crit and crit multiplier values are also getting lowered with that decaying buff effect, unfortunately. So actually you are losing some DPS on, let's say, mostly bosses, because it doesn't really matter for maps, but on bosses you will lose a little DPS unless you burst the boss in a couple of seconds. So if you don't have this much gear, let's say if you are still gearing this character, maybe you just started playing, you didn't min-max it, you can swap Nightblade on very big bosses like Sirus, Shaper, Uber Elder. So just swap this if you want. Elemental focus can be good, or if you are not using, or yeah, you can just switch it with hypothermia. Yeah. You don't even need Fight Rocket, and use an inspiration here all the time. So you can do that if your damage isn't good enough yet. But once you have the gear, Nightblade all the way, it doesn't even matter. But don't forget that you will lose that values with your decaying elusive buff. So we are using Inpulsa for that explosion. Shocked enemies you kill explode, dealing 5% of their life as lightning damage, which cannot shock. So this increases our clear speed a lot. So this is like a best in slot item for any kind of lightning build. Also gives some life and other stuff, and you are also unaffected by shock, which is very good, because shock is something that it can easily get you killed in maps, unless you are immune. So this chest is overall very good. So let's talk about weapon now. So there are some good claws on the market for a couple of exiles. I actually still trying to sell my first claw, but this is actually a little cheaper. I am just trying to see if someone will buy this, but while we are shooting this, let's put this a little less expensive. So the thing about this, its base is wrong. It has physical damage, leech has life, which does nothing. So something like this has life gained for each enemy. It is way better. It doesn't have to be an Imperial Claw. A Gemini Claw is also very good. I believe there was one more, maybe, I'm not sure. You want to actually craft this yourself. It is very easy to craft. I'm going to explain it now, because Claw isn't something meta, so maybe you won't find something good on the market. But as I said earlier, I started playing the build with this, and this is actually very good. It is enough. But if you want to min-max, we want to craft something like this eventually. So something like this is only a couple of exiles. Yeah. So here's how to craft this. It doesn't have to be Imperial. Again, I'm probably gonna list all the good bases because we are not playing a physical build. That physical portion doesn't do really much. As you can see, my physical damage is almost as my fire damage, which that fire damage is only comes from this to get my Cinder Swallow ignite. So you can see the 4 to 12, and this has they have like the same DPS, the physical and the fire. So that fire doesn't do anything at all, and not fire, physical. So the base isn't that important. You just want a good base with a good implicit. So life gain for each enemy hit is very good. Here's what you want to do if you want to craft it way easier. I crafted this very easy. So if you can buy a fractured one, so the Heist, the league currently we are in, I cannot of course say anything about future leagues, but fractured items drop a lot in Heist league, so these kind of stuff are all over the place. So you just want to get a fractured claw, a good base with some decent attack speed or maybe crit chance. Lightning damage is probably highly unlikely because it is very hard to get a good lightning damage on a fractured. So you can just search for it, but when I started searching for this specific claw, the base, I actually searched lightning damage and I couldn't find any. So probably you will want to get a attack speed or a crit chance one, like I did. So just try to get as high tier as possible. This is tier 2. Tier 1s are very expensive, so this is fine. Again, you can also search for different bases, Gemini Claw or maybe something else. I'm gonna list it on the screen. So once you get that, I get this for like maybe 1 exile, maybe less, I'm not sure, the base. So it is very cheap. We want to use, where is it? This is called, yeah, this one, Deafening Essence of Wrath. So the essences are again very cheap this league. If they are expensive in future leagues, you can go for Shrieking. It's not the end of the world, but it is actually very easy to craft this, so you can just use that money. But now in Heist League this is 1 chaos. Yeah, only 1 chaos. So you just want to use these to get that very high lightning damage, and use this until you get a decent crit or attack speed, whichever you don't have, or maybe also critical multiplier. So just go for it, put the claw in the path of building and see what happens. But you want that open prefix at least to put that penetration, because that gives a lot of DPS. So that's it, very easy to craft. This cost me less than 3 exiles, I believe. I paid 1x for the claw, 1x for that penetration. That is 1x, yeah. It is a little expensive, yeah, but penetration, yeah, this one. And maybe around a couple of chaos for the essence, that's it. I actually spent less than 3 exile, yeah, because these are only bank chaos. So very easy to craft actually. You just want to find that base and that's it. The gems I'm using in this: Wave of Conviction, Spell Totem, and Portal. So Wave of Conviction is a buff that reduces the elemental resist of the enemy by the highest damage taken. So you want this to deal lightning damage to get that lightning penetration. We are already using red buff, so this has more lightning compared to fire. The default has both fire and lightning normally. So you can see that it's actually not very clear here, but it is dealing more lightning damage. You can actually check Path of Building and see your Wave of Conviction damage if you want. But this red alone is enough to get that higher lightning damage, yeah. So you want that exposure at big bosses, just put your totem somewhere safe, because we are not a totem build, so this doesn't have that much HP. But it only needs to cast it once to apply that debuff, and then the boss will probably beat that, at least the map bosses. But you don't really need this at map at all actually. Yeah, so shield. So the thing is, minimum friends charges So let's talk about this. If you want to map this character a lot, if you don't care about bosses that much, you can get a completely different shield. I'm not sure what you want to get, but just you can go with something else. Because you can use a Blood Rage if you want and get that frenzy charges, because Blood Rage gives has a percentage chance to get frenzy charge when you kill something. So you will get that 3 stacks of frenzy charges all the time with a Blood Rage while mapping. So you can get another shield. So this is actually not that expensive, because these kind of shields are usually used by minion builds, but they also use this with something else, with Awaken Orb and plus 2 power charge, something like that, to give that to their minions. So this is something that most people don't even use. I bought this, I believe 1, maybe 2 exalt, I'm not really sure, but it was very cheap, under a couple of exalt, yeah. Because I tried to put a good life and also a resist. If you can't maybe cap your resist, maybe it is very cheaper, yeah. And I also searched for an open what's that prefix, yeah. So maybe, but that open prefix is actually very good. This is actually tier 2. There's one better. I don't have it. None of my friends have it. So yeah, there's actually 8% lightning damage as extra cast. But it's also some DPS increase. So I recommend you to get something like this. But yeah, if you don't put any resist, then this is a very cheap shield. So that's it. So we have Burning Blades, faster attacks, and Fortify here. You can play with a shield charge because this we are obviously using a shield, but Burning Blaze is very fast, as you can already see in the videos. So this is very insanely fast. Let's say, look at this. But the only downside with Burning Blaze is you cannot climb, ledges. You cannot close those gaps. So maybe you want to put a dash, maybe a flame dash somewhere if you want, but I didn't really care. Yeah, but you can use something like a dash also. Maybe you can just not use faster attack and use a dash here. Let's see. It is still very fast. You don't need that faster attack at all. Yeah. You can just put a dash here to cover those ledges because you have 1 extra skill on your skill bar. You can just put it here, maybe. Yeah. So helmet. So this is something that you must craft on your own because there is nothing like this on the market, because no one plays something like this. I'm actually the only one playing this build. But it is very easy to craft this. So you just want to get a Cobra Lash helmet with at least 85 item levels. Mine is 87, but that doesn't really do much for me. So 85 is enough. So the bad thing about this is most people don't even care about Cobra Lash enchant, so they probably don't even pick it up. So most of the enchants are on Hubris circlets, which does nothing to us, because this is not an energy shield build. I have only like 200 ES, that does nothing. So if you can find a better base, go and buy it. Don't buy a Hubris, but if you have to buy something like this, because they aren't on the market that much, yeah, just buy a Hubris. That's unfortunate, yeah, because you need 85 item level, that's the problem. So after that, you want to use a Crusader Exalt Orb on it, which is like maybe 1 or 2 Exalt, I believe. And then use Alteration Orbs, or that can also be a good option. Metallic Fossils maybe, more lightning modifiers. You can also combine it with Pristine if you want, to get that life. So you can either craft with these two, or maybe if you know anything better, just also put those on maybe 3 socket resonators if you want. But alteration craft on something like this is usually way better. So just use alterations until you get that nearby enemies have 9% minus lightning resist. This gives a lot of DPS. And then just use a Regal Orb, augment first obviously, then Regal. I hit Chaos resist, then I said okay, this is enough. Because you don't really need that much on this helmet, then finally put life if you don't have it. Or maybe you get lucky and get a life on its own, so you can use maybe put a resist maybe. Or even multi-mod your helmet. I actually slammed this with Exalt and get that regenerate 8 life, yeah. Fuck my luck. So you can go for it, and maybe multi-mode even. So the only thing you want is life and that minus resist, that's it. Very easy to craft actually, you just need some alterations and that's it. So the gems you want on your helmet, and this is my buff setup because the colors were easy to do, but you can obviously put these on somewhere else. Red for that lightning damage. This also synergizes with our Watcher's Eye, which I'm going to talk about in the talent tree. Enlighten. You can play with a level 3 because once you have these minus mana costs, you can even put a third one here, so that will make 7 mana cost. You can actually play with a level 3 easily, Skitterbots, because we need that chill for hypothermia, and also shocks is also very good. And precision to cap that hit. So for some reason, if you need a little higher precision, maybe you will want that enlightened power. But yeah, I don't have any accuracy on my gear. Only this one has a little bit, 10%. But I am easily kept thanks to Deadeye. 50% more accuracy. And also we have some on the talent tree, I believe, So that's about the gems on the helmet. Amulet. Very basic amulet. Mine doesn't have that much resist, so you can definitely go for a better one, but that will be expensive. I bought this for 40 chaos, I believe. Similar ones are like at least at most. I actually spoke Turkish there. At most 1 exile. So you want life, a decent crit multiplier, and elemental damage with attack skills. You can actually put a very good flat lightning also instead of elemental damage with attacks, but we are getting a lot of elemental damage from Claw, and also added lightning and maybe some abyss jewels. So this kind of percentage elemental damage is way better once you have enough flat damage. So make sure you have life and crit multiplier, and then put whatever you can, that's it. If you have an open suffix on one of your jewelry, it doesn't have to be amulet. You can put 1 minimum friends charges, 2 was here, so that makes 3 friends charges total. Because this is our default friends charge number. But that's not the end of the world if you don't have that minimum, so you can just play with 2. You will just lose a little DPS. So this is the idea about the amulet, very easy. And make sure you get maybe intellect, because I probably need that, You can put intellect on somewhere else, even on a jewel maybe, because we are using some clusters, which I'm going to talk about at talent 3 section. So maybe you can get the intellect somewhere else, so just figure it out on your own, because we need intellect for red buff. So make sure you have 159 intellect. Finally, Whispers of Doom for that +1 curse. Because we use sniper mark and also conductivity. So we are going to talk about that in a moment. So that's it. Very easy amulet, very cheap. So rings. So these are a little sketchy. So this is a little hard to find, but you can get something without that lightning damage. I was actually lucky to get this. I probably paid a little to this. I believe it was 4 exiled. Maybe 5, I'm not sure. But you absolutely don't need that lightning damage. I was like, oh yeah, this is good. Then I bought this. I actually overpaid maybe. The only good ones that you want is life. You can actually put life yourself if you even want. Resist if you need. Actually, if you can keep your resist somewhere else, you don't even have to put this much resist. Then this kind of rings are very cheap. Because I had to put so much light resist, that's why I paid extra. And conductivity. So the thing about rings and jewelry is that you want that minus mana cost. Because we are attacking so fast, you can see. While mapping, if you maybe miss a couple of your hits, with dying some we are obviously throwing 3. But if you maybe miss a couple of those, you will run out of mana so easily. So that's why you want those -9 mana costs. So this is about this ring. You can anoint Arc Tower if you want. Arc Towers are very powerful right now. I always anoint it on my characters. Very powerful. So this I crafted myself. It is actually very easy to craft. Here's how to do that. If you still need resist, just buy a different base. I was like, yeah, I can keep my resist, so I bought an Opal ring. Again, a fracture craft like Claw. I bought the base maybe for like 30-40 chaos again, less than an exalt. Maybe you cannot find something like this right now. Just search for something else. Don't search for cold resist, obviously, if you want something other resist maybe. Or you can even put life maybe as fractured. So fractured crafts are very easy and less expensive, let's say. Because something like this is probably not even on the market. You have to do that craft on your own. So you have to be smart about it. So just buy something that you want as fractured. Elemental damage is obviously good on Opal rings. But if you need that resist, again, but just buy a different ring. So the thing about this, as you can see, it has a lot of lightning damage. So normally you cannot find this on the market because we are doing this again. Not the same one. Yeah, it is, I believe, this. Yeah, this one. Yep. So Torment Essence, again 1 chaos I believe, very cheap this league. So read the bottom line only, other jewelry, that means ring and amulet. A lot of flat lightning damage to attacks. So this is how I crafted it. Just buy a decent base and craft it. It is very easy to craft. Just craft until you hit something good. I hit fire res and accuracy. Actually, without this, my accuracy is probably 99%. Let's see, 100% now. No, it's actually capped, yeah, I don't even need that. But it gives 1% on evasion monsters. But that doesn't really important. So just go for life, resist, whatever you can find. Actually, my ring doesn't even have life, as you can see. So you can even get more life. Yeah, you can hit that 6k with a better gear. And that's it, very easy, very powerful, very cheap. Under an exalt probably to get this. So gloves. Tombfist is your probably best option. If you have the money, if you are very good at crafting stuff, you can actually get that Intimidate. So the main reason we are using Tombfist is the Intimidate. Intimidate gives 10% increased damage taken to enemies, which gives a lot of DPS. So that's why I went with Tombfist. And Tombfist isn't very popular these days. Most people don't even play attack builds. This is only like, I believe, 2 exalts as corrupted because I got attack speed. You can get another corruption. You can even get elemental weakness, but that is very expensive. And don't use a conductivity ring. You can get ele weakness. It also gives penetration, but that gloves is very expensive. So just try to get something decent if you have the money. You can even buy a non-corrupted one. They are like 30 chaos, I believe, very cheap. But this was like 1-2 exalt, something like that, attack speed. There's also life if you want, and also attacks have crit, which is also very good. So just try to get something good as a corruption if you have the money for it. And again, it is only a couple of exalts with corruption, very cheap. Sniper Mark as our second curse, so that's why you want Whispers of Doom on your amulet. And Enhance. So let's see. First enemies take increased damage from projectile hit, so Enhance increases it even more. You don't need Enhance, but it gives a little more DPS. So I always use it on something like Sniper Mark, also Assassin's Mark. Amulet's Assassin's Mark is also very good, but not really for this build because this projectile damage taken is very powerful. So Sniper Mark is definitely your mark choice. So let's talk about jewels later, because there are also jewels on my talent tree. So last 2 items, belt. So this is something to min max. You don't need this for start, obviously, because this only gives more life. You can just get a normal sticky mice with life resist. I'm not sure if we need strength. Let's see. Yeah, I need some strength. So yeah, it is probably wise to put strength on your belt because you can get very high strength. Strength also gives life. So yeah, this piece alone gives a lot of HP probably. Yeah. When you have the money, you can just craft your own sticky mice. Do not pay extra for that. I have a little guide that I did earlier. I'm just gonna put it also in this video, so just watch that and you will see how to craft a sticky mice. And finally, boots. This is actually probably my cheapest piece. Also the amulet was very cheap. So only life, resist, and dodge spell. Because we are playing a dodge evasion build. Let's see where is our dodge. 35% right now. Without the boots, it is 30%. We'll try to get that dodge spell, and I also enchanted it with dodge spell again. So this is mainly for mapping and beyond maps. So this character can handle triple beyond very easily. So yeah, that's what I have been doing for this couple of days. Also on my Essence Terrain character, I do a lot of double triple beyond maps. Because that's where the fun is at late game, let's say. Because not much crazy stuff happens. Anyways, after 1 month into the league. So that's a way to spend some time on maps. So yeah, spell dodge is very powerful. So this is maybe like 20-30 chaos when I bought it. Very easy to get one. So that's it, yeah. Nothing special. So the gems. Ancestral Protector for that increased attack speed. Actually more attack speed. Again, more is way better. So definitely it is easier to show on PoB, but we are going to talk about the top building later. So you can see that my attack time is 0.18 and with the totem up 0.15. So you can see there's a lot of difference. So yeah, this gives basically a lot of attack speed. So you only want this while fighting a very big boss. Just put it and then start attacking, that's it. So multiple totems, because we are using 2 different totem setups, you can actually skip one of these totems if you want, if you are very lazy to cast these. I only use these on very end game bosses, by the way. I don't even use these at maps. So if you want, you can skip these entirely, but they combined the 2 of them give a lot of DPS. So I highly suggest you to at least use one totem, maybe Protector or maybe this one, whatever you want. So we are using 2 different totems, so this is not a totem build, so your totem limit is normally 1. But with multiple totems you will get +2. So yeah, that's how you use, let's see, 3 totem spots. You can use multiple on spell totem setup here. So you will get 2 Wave of Conviction totems and only 1 protector. So you can also do that, it doesn't really matter. Blind, you don't really need this at all. This is something to just socket in. You can even level gems here because these other 2 links aren't that important. And also Culling Strike, again, maybe your totem isn't even up when the boss is about to die, I'm not sure. But this is something that I just used. You can actually don't use these 2 and use something else here, whatever you want. I believe I'm not using a cast when damage taken, yeah. This is actually way better to put a cast when damage taken Immortal Call here for that spike damage protection. Yeah, you can just go for that or even use these, but these doesn't really do much then. Alright, Flasks. So Cinder Swallow for that Onslaught. Onslaught gives attack speed, movement speed and cast speed. Cast speed doesn't do anything to us, so we want that attack and movement speed. And also with this, never mind, probably my friends trying to say something to me because I have D&D on. Let's finish this part and I will talk to my friend. So Cinder Swallow again for Onslaught and also recover life, mana, ES doesn't matter, mana doesn't really that important. The only good thing about this is that life recover, so this gives a lot of healing in maps. And also I got something with crit chance during Flask effect to get some DPS. And finally, so this is the most important part, we want some form of fire damage to attacks. I put it here in this jewel. If you craft your claw somehow with fire damage, that's also fine. So make sure you have fire damage from somewhere, because without this I don't have any. So I crafted this, or maybe bought it, I'm not sure. So I have some fire damage. So I ignite the targets, and that's how enemies ignited by you during Flask effect take 10% increased damage. So this gives a lot of DPS, and also recover life, mana, all kind of stuff. Very good Flask overall. Probably best in slot for mapping also. Diamond Flask with a freeze or curse, because the other one is on your Quartz Flask. You just put freeze and curse on one of each, and that's it. Diamond Flask is for crit lucky, obviously. Quartz for more dodge. So we are gonna see that in Path of Building, but with Quartz Flask up, and we will also have Elusive from Nightblade. We are actually almost kept at, you cannot see it here, we are gonna talk about it on Path of Building. We are almost kept on both dodge chances, so we have a very high dodge. So this character is like taking no damage at all while mapping, so very high survivability actually. So Dying Sun, you only want this for mapping, because you normally throw only one Cobra Lash, but with this 3, so you have to use this, yeah. But the thing about Dying Sun is that this doesn't do anything on bosses. So if you have the money, I actually switch this with Battle Fate for that insane DPS boost. But you can just use a normal Sulfur Flask if you want, if you don't have the money for Battle Fate. Or not even use Battle Fate at all, because damage is more than enough. And finally, Life Flask. Make sure you put Bleed. And you just use whatever you want. The Divine Flask is also fine with instant recovery. I don't really like instant recovery that much, so I mostly use Eternal Life Flask on my characters. Just go with any form of Life Flask with Bleed, and that's it. So let's talk about Pantheon real fast. Those are not that important, and also talent tree jewels, and that's gonna be it. So currently I'm using this. I didn't. So the thing is, I most of the time forgot to, update my Pantheons. As you can see, none of those are actually upgraded. But I'm right now playing with this because we are already immune to shock. Arakali is mostly for that shock effect thing, shock reduce, lightning damage avoid, blah blah blah. So yeah, maybe Solaris or Lunaris is better. So I recommend one of these and also upgrade those, unlike me. And for miners, these days pretty much I use Aberrath, because that burning ground effects deals a lot of damage on some maps with extra damage. And also if you are doing lots of Nemesis Beyond maps like I do, if those maps also have burning ground, that makes it a pain in the ass, because you want to loot everything later. There are like lots of loot on the ground. So while I'm looting, I was like, my character is on fire and dying, losing health. You want to put your flask, blah blah blah. So very pain in the ass. So I want that unaffected by burn ground at all times. That's why I use this all the time probably. You can use this on fights like Sirus actually. So you will get that life flasks automatically. Also Uber Elder, that also works. So you can just switch around if you want, or even use something else if you want. But this is pretty much what I use. So yeah, Talent 3. So I already explained Deadeye, but here is how to, the order, let's say. Probably Tailwind first if you are leveling this character. By the way, I didn't level this character with this build because I already had a Ranger character. So I cannot say much about leveling. So maybe you should level with something else. Maybe, I'm not sure. I cannot say anything. But if you decide to level this, if it works, it may work, because you can get this at level 50-55 in what is that? Second Labyrinth, yeah. So you can just go for like this and get this as soon as possible. Also get a divergent Cobra Lash maybe, with some good leveling gear. A Wake of Destruction boots, Wake of Destruction, that gives a lot of flat lightning. You can maybe use a Darkness Enthroned belt with double jewel it has, and maybe use some low level jewels with flat lightning. So if they are on the market for cheap, just buy those. I'm pretty sure that you can level with Cobra Lash. But Dying Sun is, yeah, very high level, so I'm not sure if you're clear real good or not, but it is leveling, so I cannot say much, yeah. But if you do this character later, maybe, yeah, Tailwind first probably, and down those two, and finally Fast and Deadly at Uberlap, yeah. Let's just talk about the important stuff. Point blank. So you want to kill bosses at close range to get a 30% more damage to targets at start of their movement, blah blah blah. The closer you are to the target, I believe the range was like 7 or 8 yards, maybe 10, I'm not sure. After that you will start losing DPS, yeah. So point blank gives a lot of DPS. If you are heavily doing mapping, just skip this. You don't even need this at all. This is for bossing. So Wind Dancer, pretty much a go-to for every kind of dodge build these days. Less damage taken if you haven't been hit recently. We have a lot of dodge, so we don't get hit a lot. But once we get hit, we will take 20% less for that first hit. So very good. You can actually survive volatile flame bloods easily with this. I sometimes get hit by those on Nemesis Beyond maps, Triple Beyond, because of the low FPS you can get on those kind of maps. I sometimes fuck up and get hit by those, and I never died to those, because this pretty much helps a lot. Yeah, those kind of burst stupid damage. So this is how I get my mana leech. You can use a different large cluster and put mana leech there, but this is only 1 point, so don't forget to take this. Some usual stuff. I started using this for that flask charge gained while I heavily started doing maps, but you don't need this if you don't want. Just put these two on somewhere else if you want. Yeah, this is just for mapping flask charges. Some generic stuff: crit, attack damage, pan, life. So let's talk about Watcher's Eye, jewels. Yeah, those are the most important ones, because there aren't any important thing here. This is the claw wheel. Claw. Again, some claw here. So large cluster. And you can use something else. This is something that I wanted to use and I went for it. I didn't even min-max my jewels probably. You can, if you are experienced, let's say, figure it out on your own and even maybe use a better one. This was only like 1 or maybe 2 exiles, something like that. But you can use a different combination. Again, as I'm telling you, this is not that much important. So the best thing here is Stormdrinker for 8% penetration, gives a lot of DPS. And the other good thing is Storm Rider. So 10% chance to gain power charge when you shock a chilled enemy. So we have Skitterbot all the time, so that Skitterbot will chill enemies. This is a lightning build, so we shock normally. So we shock a chilled enemy by doing nothing and get that power charges all the time. So this is how I get my power charges. A very strong combination on lightning builds. I used this similar setup on some in 3.11, I believe. If you maybe did that build or maybe watched that, I had a I actually forgot the build, but Raider, I believe, something. Yeah, this is a very powerful combination on these kind of builds to get power charges without doing anything at all. And also gives a little more DPS against chill enemies, shocked enemies, yeah. And finally, disorienting display. You don't need this, just get something here, just something. There are actually 2 more options, I believe, and they all are similar. So this doesn't really do that much. You can even get a 2 passive one, so this will be like a small passive. Maybe you can put something useful on your passives. I have 2 cold resist, maybe you can put strength, maybe chaos resist, maybe intellect if you need. So even don't get a third node, so that will be very cheap cluster jewel, and also you will keep your maybe resist or something like that, because this doesn't give anything at all, only some damage. And that blind enemy doesn't even work because Cobra Lash isn't an elemental skill, it is a chaos skill, so this doesn't even work. Only that 25% elemental damage works. So again, this is useless pretty much, so you can get a 2 passive one, or even use an entire different large cluster. This is very easy to get, actually very cheap. So here's an alternative cluster jewel setup actually. So the thing is, yes, you want Dying Sun for mapping, because one projectile isn't enough to clear efficiently. But actually you can play without Dying Sun and get that projectile count somewhere else. So this is a large jewel, dagger and claw damage, and you want Fan of Blade. Attack skills fire an additional projectile while wielding a claw or dagger, and also some force damage. So this only gives extra 1, which won't be enough. And after that, for one of your medium jewel, you want to use a Megalomaniac jewel. So let's search one real quick. Megalomaniac medium cluster. I have no idea about the prices, so if they are expensive, just skip. But this is something that you can do. I actually considered this, but never actually did because I forgot. So let's see. So yeah, they start from tankias. Obviously, these are probably aren't that good because we want to find other useful stuff also. So you get the idea. One large with Fan of Blaze and another stuff, good stats that you can get here. Actually, where is it? Yep, you can get Fuel the Fight for attack speed and mana leech. So you can just delete this, then that will save you 1 point. And finally, also find something else, one more stat. I honestly don't know some of these. This is interesting. I'm not sure if this is good or not, but a power charge generation on non-crit. I don't know. You can just try. I cannot say much because I didn't use. So yeah, one large with Fan of Blaze and one Megalomaniac, and that will make 2 projectiles again, and you can skip Dying Sun entirely, or even use Dying Sun again and shoot 5 projectiles. Yeah. So that's a very good thing to consider. For medium, these are very cheap. No one really plays with this because this is probably the only useful thing for. This is probably only useful for Cobra Lash, because we are using this. Projectile deals 15% increased damage for each remaining chain. Again, we are stacking that remaining chain we also got on Cobra Lash. So 15% here, 15% here, 15% here, that makes 45%, 45 plus 9 I believe. That's the amount of increased damage I get from these 3 sources. Very big numbers. That's how this build deals so much damage. And the other one is Repeater, Proj damage, attack cast speed doesn't do anything. That's for attack speed only. You can actually get one of these with, I believe it is Streamlined, something like that, that gives a lot of projectile speed. So let's talk about, yeah, I also use 1 Fatal only. You can use 2 if you want, definitely fine, to get more life. Just put some missing stats here. I put Light Res and a little life, yeah. You can use a 2.1 if you are struggling on the points. So about jewels, finally. What you want is crit multiplier, attack speed is good, strength if you need. I think yeah, I got some strength here. Life if you can get. These are all the good stats. I'm gonna list all of those on the screen. Again, crit multi, life, Proj damage, one-handed damage. These are all works. So this is not a melee skill, so you cannot get anything with melee. This is a projectile range skill. But damage with one-handed weapons, that works. Projectile damage works. Crit multiplier. And yeah, one more jewel here. Lastly, Watcher's Eye. The only thing that you want is damage penetrates lightning resist while affected by rat. That's it. And the other one doesn't work. It is something that I got. Yeah, that's it. That doesn't work because we are not using hatred. So only you want rat penetration. This is not that expensive. I don't know the current price, but it is only like a couple of exiles. Finally, I'm gonna show a couple of things in Path of Building. Probably let me show you just how to calculate your DPS, because most people get confused in Path of Building. So because of the cluster jewel, we can get power charges. We already have 3 power charges thanks to 2 minimum on our shield and 1 on our amulet. You can put that on your ring as well. Tailwind, because we are Deadeye. Elusive, thanks to Nightblade support. Yes, we have Flasks. This is needed for Abyss jewels, maybe crit recently. If you have any kind of these kind of Abyss jewels, attack speed if you have delta crit recently, then you need to take these over. Have you shocked an enemy recently? This is for Inpulsa. Increase damage if you have shocked an enemy recently. What else? Have you used the skill recently? And 10 skills, because Tailwind stacks cap at 10. Here, 10% increase effect of Tailwind on you for each skill you have used recently up to 100%. That means 10 skills. You can easily attack 10 times in 4 seconds. As you can see, I attacked 9 times in 1 second right now. Is the enemy maimed? Yes, it doesn't. Actually, not maim. Yeah, wait. Yeah, maim, yeah. If the searching guide will equip, we can maim. Maim is something that slows the enemies. It doesn't have anything to do with DPS, but I checked it anyways. Ignited, yes. You want fire damage on one of your jewels to proc Cinder Swallow Flask. So yes, ignite. As you can see, we are losing DPS if you don't take it. Thanks to Cinder Swallow. Shield from skitter bots, and we are using hypothermia jewel gem. You can see we lose a lot of DPS, so skitter bots help with that. Intimidate thanks to Tombfist glow, another DPS increase. If you are using a battle fate, you need to take this as well. Yeah. And Shaper Guardian, Sirus. And I think that's it. Here, exposure from our Favor Conviction totem. Without it, as you can see, exposure actually gives a lot of DPS, so I highly suggest you to use this at big bosses. So one last trick, this is actually not my DPS, I actually have higher. So I ticked, are you always on full life or something? That doesn't work right now. So the thing is, the helmet enchant Cobra Lash chains 3 times. You can see that it is in red color because Path of Building doesn't calculate that. It is right now isn't supported. So we are losing 30% more damage, and what else? 45 plus 3, I believe. No, never mind. Yeah, we are losing some DPS because we are also using these for each remaining chain. Yeah, we have 3 of these, 2 jewel, 1 Cobra Lash, 45. It means 135% damage. Yeah, loss because helmet doesn't work, and also Deadeye here. 10% more damage for each remaining chain. This means 30% more damage. So I actually didn't calculate that increased damage because I have to put it in an item, something like that. But I can calculate that Deadeye 30% more by using a damage on full life level 1. That also gives 30% more damage while on full life. That's why if you want to calculate your DPS, just check this. The damage on full life, and this is currently my DPS. Actually, it is a little higher, as I said earlier. I am still missing 135% increased damage. So actually, we can also do that. Let's just save this. Let's see if I have any item with... Yeah, we have a belt. Okay, nice. So let's find that and do that so we can see our final DPS edit. Let's see if this will work. If not, then yeah, it will be something like this. I believe that works. Yeah, it worked. This is actually what my DPS is right now. So you can do this little trick to calculate your DPS. Because again, this helmet enchant doesn't work on Path of Building. You can still get 6 level gems. As I said earlier, I used 5 in the video, so let's see what happens. Even more. You can invest more. You can go easily to 14 million, it seems, with similar gear. Maybe... I'm not sure if I'm missing anything else. Actually, it doesn't also calculate Phantasmal. Ancestral Protector, so we are missing some attack speed, so easily above 14 million. Yeah, I think that's it. If I'm missing anything, just use it, or let me know. Yeah, that's about the Path of Building, and that finalizes everything. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please message me in game so I can actually answer better in game. Please leave a comment, like or subscribe to support me, and I will see you next time.